The average user doesn't have that. So that's why they're like getting confused and overwhelmed with all the tools out there that are promising to do this thing. So if you're not an expert marketer or a salesperson or a copywriter, you have a few options. One is to first be authentic and real in the content that you're putting into AI. Because if you put something real good into it, you will get something good out of it.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on what part of the world you're visiting us. Hi, I'm Daniel Marcos, your host for this podcast, the Learning Of Podcast, and I'm also the CEO of Growth Institute. And today I'm with a really, really good friend, and she has helped me significantly with marketing. You're going to hear about this a little bit, and help me implement AI in a lot of my marketing to make it way more efficient. So she's going to give you a lot of tools to be able to be more efficient with your marketing and really understand how to use AI to take your marketing exponentially in one way and also perfection in the other way. So today we're going to be talking with Yifat Cohen. She's an investor, international speaker, web host, influencer, engagement marketer, and KRAV MAGA addict. And by the way, we're going to start with the KRAV MAGA. You put it all the time on your social media, you hitting people and doing your KRAV MAGA movements. That's a lot of fun. And her purpose is to ignite thought leadership to boost conversions up to 40% with 100% done for you service. And oh my God, that's what we want. Like, I know I have to do social media and all that, but I just don't want to do it. It's a lot of work. And that's why I enjoy so much working with you. Hey, Yifat, how are you? Welcome to
Fantastic.
the Learning Of Podcast.
Thanks for having
Welcome.
me.
So first, let me start with KRAV MAGA addict. Why did you start with KRAV MAGA?
You know, when people, maybe it's something messed up in my personality, but I really like being in uncomfortable situations and finding my way through them, right? I think you build a lot of character that helps you in your entrepreneurial journey when you're actually figuring out what do I do in a very uncomfortable situation, which is still a safe environment, right? Like I'm not going to get my head chopped off. Right, but it's a very safe environment, but it pushes you a lot over the edge. And the other thing is, like, when you're in such a stressful situation, this is the only time I find myself really in the present. I'm not thinking about my business. I'm not thinking about my kid. I'm not thinking about, anything else except the one thing right there. And that gets you into flow, right? Because when you're just in one thing and you're doing just one thing, it's a great feeling to have. So I usually leave my feelings at home because I make a lot of mistakes and I get beat up a lot. But I come there, and when I leave, I feel like, really energized. Keeps me up all night. It's really great.
And when you're walking on the street, you feel more confident.
No one fucks with this woman.
Quick story. My daughter is 18 years old, and she just went to college, and I told Yifat about it. She's like, you have to get into Krav Maga. She needs to defend herself. She has to be a strong woman. So thank you for that.
You know what's nice about Krav Maga is that it's not a sport, right? It's actual implementation of what will happen in real time if someone dares put their hand on you. So it's not something that you can actually like go and there's like competitions where you can show your skills. No, because if something happens, there's no rules. My kid learns Kung Fu, and so it's always like Kung Fu versus Krav Maga in our house. Right. And he does all these like katas and whatever. And all I have to do is not play by the rules because there's no rules. And on the street, there are no rules. Right.
Yeah. It's a less elegant martial art, but one that is more practical on the street.
Very practical. Yes.
Right. Let's go to marketing. So you're the first one that teach me how to use AI in marketing. And I use my first AI tool in marketing. So tell us about marketing AI and share some examples. What can people implement today in their marketing to improve their marketing, not just in quality, but also in quantity? We know that a lot of social media is a numbers game. You have to be in all platforms and the rest. And how do you use AI for that?
So I'd love to first give you kind of like a little warning, right? AI is not a thinking tool yet, right? So right now, if you put crap in, you get crap out. And that's really where the danger of playing with AI comes in. Because if you're thinking, well, I'm just going to go to ChatGPT and I'm just going to put whatever in there and I'll take that and put it on my website, you might be really killing your conversions and your brand and your authenticity and the trust in everything that you're doing. The reason why people are very successful with AI is because they come in with experience and knowledge. You can look at a headline and go like, yeah, that's a good headline. You can look at a copy and be like, yeah, there's an open loop. There's, there's persuasions, and there are different things in it. The average user doesn't have that. So that's why they're like getting confused and overwhelmed with all the tools out there that are promising to do this thing. So if you're not an expert marketer or a salesperson or a copywriter, you have a few options. One is to first be authentic and real in the content that you're putting into AI. Because if you put something real good into it, you will get something good out of it. So that's step one. Step one is like being very strategic about what is it that you want to get out of the AI. Because if you know, you would be able to tell it what to do. Step two, after you know what you want to get out, you have to put really, really good stuff in, right? And you can't just be, generic as every ChatGPT out there, because we're going to get to the point where our feed is just filled with avatars, AI avatars, and nobody will know who to trust anymore, right? Like, I don't know if this is you, Daniel, with your experience in building businesses all over the world, or it's just an, Joe Schmo from the block that took your website, put it into ChatGPT, and all of a sudden it sounds like you. And that's really, I think, the danger of where we're playing on.
By the
So
way,
that's
I've been hearing already people doing AIs with voices of Tony Robbins and people like that and promoting stuff online. That's dangerous. That's gonna get other people in trouble.
and it's inauthentic, right? Like, so I know people that I love and respect and admire that are selling AI courses, and they're saying, look, I just made $150,000 with creating a course about marriage relationships, and I don't know anything about marriage and relationships. And I'm like, then you're inauthentic. Right? Then where's the ethics in going like, hey, pay me $3,000 for this course that ChatGPT created? And I think what's going to happen.
Someone is
What's that?
teaching how to write a book in 6 hours using AI. It's gonna be crap. It's gonna be horrible.
Right. And so what's going to happen is two things. Right. The first one is people will not buy courses because we'll get to the point where like, I just don't know, right? The second one will be, I'll just go to ChatGPT and ask, like, everybody's going to become a little bit more educated in how to use it. And it's going to become the next Google, right? Every question that you want to ask, you just go there and you get the information. So what do we do as thought leaders? We have to become the trusted advisor and not rely on information, but actually deliver transformations to our people and go like, hey, you have this problem. There's one person that I trust to do this because I know them personally. I've worked with them. They helped me. They'll help you. And it's going to become more kind of like these trusted circles communities where people refer to people rather than like, let me buy a course on the internet.
So let's talk about personalization. We know that if you personalize things, it could be a higher price and people will get a better experience. How can you use AI to personalize the experience and really be able to provide a feeling or an experience that today you're not providing, or you could just provide for 2 people and you could probably do it to 10 or 20? How do you do that?
Well, it's really funny when we're talking about AI, but there are tools and technology that we were able to do this years ago with Active Campaign and like variable fields inside an email, right? Where you fill up a form and someone will tell you their name, their address, their filling, their course name, their business. And then in the email, you'll just be like, well, if you're in this business, then you can do that, right? So that's not new. People haven't been using this. And I think there's a little bit of a fallacy with like, AI is just going to solve all my problems. Maybe in the future, not today, right? So today, you still have to be very strategic about what you want to get out of it and how you systematize it to get what you want. So there are a lot of companies out there that says, hey, fire all your setters. You don't need setters and you don't need salespeople because we'll do all that stuff for you, right? And when you start talking to them, guess what? There's a person on the other side that starts the conversation talking to you. I'm like, why aren't you using your own system? Because it's not there yet, right? There's the marketing tells you that it's there. It's really not there. So how do you do that? Well, you can use existing technology that's super simple because you don't need to complicate your life, which is Zoom, right? And talk to a lot of people at the same time, not as a webinar, but actually helping them with their issues. So when we run this with our clients, for example, we're going like, okay, everybody share your screen. This is the tool. This is the system we're going to do. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do this step one, and we're all going to do this together. And then step two, we'll follow up with it. You're going to get the system. And what happens is that people get wins. They get success. They're going like, oh, all of a sudden, I never thought I could write a headline before, but look at that. I actually wrote a headline. Now let's go to the next step and post it online and see what happens. And they gain trust in you, right? You actually give them an experience that they cannot get without it. So you can use technology to access more people, but you have to be there in person. Otherwise, you're going to lose the trust. You won't know what's really happening in your business.
So what is that balance of in person or live or human interaction in social media and AI? So you could really get that trust, but also use AI to multiply and grow your presence.
So in my world, we actually talk to people. We don't let AI tell us everything that's going on. And in your world, Danielle, I think you would agree that everything is relationship based,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
We actually have to build relationships.
Yes,
and we build relationships with the decision makers. And then from there, we go like, okay, now that we have the conversation, let AI summarize it. Let AI bring the pain points. Let AI give me the questions and the answers. Let AI take that and turn it into content. But I first have to have that relationship built. Otherwise, there's nothing really to work with. And I'm talking too generic, right? There was a story, I think Seth Godin was talking about it, how this one company spent $100 million to sell their painkiller product. And he goes like, and it flopped because nobody had that specific pain, right? It's like, nobody cares. It's like selling bacon to vegans. You have to talk to the vegans first and be like, what is it that you want? Oh, you want the flavor of vegan. Okay, let me create something similar. But if you don't have that initial conversation, there's nothing even to put into AI to help you kind of think about what it is that you need to do. So I'm kind of like old school. I'm like, let's talk, have conversation, build relationship, take that, have AI help us find the insight and the nuance and the patterns, and then operate over that.
Okay. So let's talk about automation. AI has a lot of great tools for automation. So you could do it with your voice yourself, not AI, but use automation to be able to do it in the experience and the moment that is right for your clients. So tell me about some automation tools that you're using, or what's the best ways to automate. And by the way, in our industry, probably what was the email tools that we use to start sending emails, depending on when they were in the funnel and all that. But now AI is taking it to the next level. So tell me about some tools to do automation.
There's one tool that I love. I started programming ChatGPT to do this, but then this tool came out and they actually found me on YouTube, one of my videos. And now I'm working with the CEO to actually make this better. So it's called Cast Magic, and I'll give you the link. And what's amazing about that is that you can take any type of video, audio, articles that you have, any type of content that you have, and you'll put it into Cast Magic, and Cast Magic will create, based on who you are, the exact content that you need. Meaning, if you're a salesperson, it will take that and it will give you all the sales points for the client, all the pain points, all the ideas, all the offers, what fits the client specifically on the conversation that you had. If you're a coach, it will create worksheets for you. It will create lessons plans. But it has to start with your genius and your insights of a specific content that you give first. If you're a marketer, you can take that and it will create a bunch of like clips and tweets and all the social media that you need. And here's the twist, which is what it was a very interesting thing. So inside Cast Magic, you can put sample content. Let's say you're not a copywriter. Let's say you really suck with copy and but you know someone who's amazing at it. You're like, oh, John Benson, he has, persuasion down to the thing. So I'm going to go to John Benson and I'm going to take one of John Benson's posts, the way he writes it, and I'm going to put that post as a content sample inside Cast Magic. And now Cast Magic is going to write all my content with that style in there, right? So now if you're really not a really good copywriter, you go like, well, but I'm a good storyteller because I took a good story from someone who knows how to tell stories that resonates with me, and that will spit it out. It's not perfect. You have to have good, good content at the beginning to put it in there,
And you
but
have
it
to edit
saves you
things.
so much time.
So let's get into all the ethical considerations of this, right? Now you could say, hey, write me this sales letter like I'm Seth Godin, and it writes to you or sales letter like Seth Godin or John Benson or Evan Pagan or whatever, great copywriters. That has some ethical. And by the way, I've heard about several thought leaders, some of the faculty of Growth Institute. ChatGPT has all their books inside ChatGPT, and they were not happy. By the way, they're suing ChatGPT. They're sending emails of cease and desist because they're using their IP without first their knowledge and approval, and two, paying them anything. So what do you think is going to happen when AI really gets much bigger and better than today? Talking on the ethical side.
So you know how before AI, they said if you wanted to be a really good copywriter, you would take there was a letter from, I don't know, Dean Johnson or like one of the guys that wrote the best sales letter, right?
Yeah.
And what would you do is you write it like you copy the same paper 100 times, right?
Yes.
What's the difference? What is the difference? You took that guy's amazing copy, you wrote it by hand 100 times until you started thinking that way, right? And now you're starting to become a good copywriter because you studied the copywriters, right? So now we're upset that we don't need to study the copywriters. We have a tool that already studied them, and now we're pissed off, right? So I think it's a difference between information and experience and wisdom, really, right? You might have the knowledge, but do you have the wisdom on how to apply it and what to do with it and how it fits in the grand scheme of everything else? Because, building a business is not just copy. It's not just emails. Like there's so many nuances to it. You have a wisdom because you worked with so many businesses. You can step in and go like, listen, I doubt anyone can come into ChatGPT and be like, I don't need Daniel Marcus. Let me ChatGPT this problem in my business, right?
Wait, quick story on this. I'm in Mexico City now. I'm going to my planning session. And over the weekend, I was in Los Angeles teaching a workshop. And I finished the workshop on Monday at noon. And I had so many phone calls and emails that I need to do. So I got the last flight, like at 7 p.m. And I went to the airport 5 hours early so I could sit down at the desk and just clean email and go through it. And I was 5 hours just focused on my computer. I ate a quick sandwich and then start working. And I'm walking to my plane and I'm just cleaning social media and responding. And there's a picture of this guy that took from me. He said, I've been sitting in this desk for 3 hours. You did not stop writing your computer for 3 hours. And he said, this is what people don't see, that they just see on stage. And this is the things that they don't see, that you come to the airport many hours before and you're just cranking many hours. And I think that make a difference. But the problem is that someone's going to say, okay, I'm going to get that from Daniel, all these 10 webinars. And now I'm going to ask ChatGPT or AI to write me a webinar like Daniel. Like, oh my God. Like it's tough.
Well, is it because so I think about it, it's kind of like Star Trek, right? We're in this spaceship in space, right? And we don't know where we're going. We're like light speed, right? And the captain goes like, computer, calculate all the ways that, the safest way out of this, right? So we don't need to sit there with that.
Google Maps. It tells you all the routes in
but hold on a second. It will, yes, and Google, you're right. Google Maps gives you 3 options, right? And then you choose.
Which one
right, exactly. Yeah. And then you choose. So you need to have your wisdom to look at the map and be like, which route will take me to where I want, right? So you didn't have to sit there with a regular map and like draw all the path and then spend 30 minutes calculating where you're going to go. You get the information, and now with your wisdom, you know how to do it. So I think that's what AI does. AI allows us to speed decisions but you still need to have the wisdom to know which decision, what to do with the information. How do I apply that information to my business? And this is where it will differentiate. It will be very easy to see who has the experience and the knowledge and who's just like spitting stuff out of ChatGPT. So it's good news to the real experts, because up until now, the real experts were drowning in all these like promises and great marketers and all that stuff, and they couldn't shine because everything else sounds great. But now they have a tool that can be like, oh, you have the wisdom, I'll help you translate it and do it really, really fast so you can still do your work, and we can make the world know that you actually know what you're doing.
A year ago, I heard a podcast of Joe Rogan interviewing Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz. And they were talking about AI. And Joe Rogan was complaining, oh, it's scary and it could be really bad. And Mark Andreessen was like super excited talking about it. And Joe Rogan said, why are you so happy? Like, why are you so excited? And he said, AI is going to make people do amazing things, and people get really impacted negatively by AI. I'm on the top of the food chain in technology, so I'm going to use AI to the maximum. I'm going to be in the 0.0001 best users of AI. For me, it's amazing what I'm going to be able to do with AI. Someone that doesn't understand computers and all the rest is going to get crushed. So it also depends on what side of the pie are you. If you are the one that are going to use it the best, you think it's great. The problem is that the legal system and the ethical system we have today is not built understanding and with the rules of AI and technology.
Yeah.
So you're going to get sued by someone that does not understand the AI, does not want to use AI, and you're using AI to do something with them. How are you going to deal with that? I think that's going to be a very, very tough decision. Today, we have no idea how to deal with it. And it's going to we're going to have to figure out how to take those decisions in the future.
Yeah, and you know what's nice about this is my son's dad has been trying to get me to program for years. He's like, just learn PHP, you know, it's easy for you. You speak languages, you can do it. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not my core business. My core business is the engagement with people, is bringing that out, right? I can hire programmers and whatever. And then here comes ChatGPT, and I want ChatGPT to do a specific thing to help me speed up my stuff. And guess what? I need to learn programming. So what got me into programming is AI, not simplifying my things, but actually making me want to do something that I can't make it do. So I go to ChatGPT and I'm like, how can I do it? And then it gives me Python. And I'm like, fudge, how do I use Python now? Right? So then I need to install this and blah, blah, blah. Right? So you could use AI to have you teach, you have to learn, right, what you need to know. So you're at the 0.0%. Most people are like, I don't want to learn. It's too hard. It takes too much time. There's the promise that they're just going to do everything for me. And, you know, that really separates the leaders from the followers, right? The leaders will jump on it and they'll learn it and they'll know how to use it to grow. And I don't know what we're going to do with the rest.
Let's go to the last 5 minutes of the podcast and talk about working with agencies, right? Every day I probably get 5 or 6 agencies in Instagram or something. Hey, I could do your videos much better with AI. I could do your Snapchat, and it tells you everything, right? It's hard to decide who to work with, and most importantly, to really understand quality and personalization and all that with agencies. So how can you test and really choose the right agency for you and the right level? Some is, I'm going to teach you how to do it. Some is going to be done with you. And there's the high end that is done for you. Like you do. I need you an hour a month in a Zoom or a Riverside recording. And the rest, I'll run with it the whole year. So the whole month. So let's talk about how to work with agencies and how to choose what's the best service for you.
So you know how you do you ever go on Instagram and you see how to go viral on Instagram, every post, how to create viral posts, right? And then you look at the likes and they're like 5 likes. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so that'll be my first thing. I'm like, can you do it? Are you eating your own cake, right? That'll be my first thing. The second thing,
when someone writes me, I could get you 80,000 followers and whatever, and they have 100 followers or 200. And I was like, come on, you have to do it yourself first, 100%. All right.
So that would be the first thing. Do you eat your own cake? The second one would be the intention, right? If I'm coming to sell you something, it's like, pay me and I'll do it, right?
Yeah.
The other side would be like, look, Daniel, I took one of your podcasts. I run it like this. Here's some stuff. If you like it, let me do more. That's coming from service, right? That's going to be like, here, let me demonstrate that I can actually do this. And I'll position myself differently. So if I were to look at agencies out there, I'll be like, okay, do you eat your own cake? Do you come in a point of service and actually helping me out? And did you actually learn anything about my business? Because I have people pitching my business to me. Oh, come on. Like, take a second, look at my profile before you even reach out.
That has
And
happened
the
a
third
couple of
one
times.
is like, give them a little test. Like, here's my podcast. Let me see what you can do with it. Right? And most people will not do anything with it. And so you can kind of like filter them out by, well, this is where it ends, right?
Yeah. Right. Going back to agencies. Now agencies have been, with AI, they've been transformed in the last year dramatically. Which are the agencies, or how can you choose an agency that is really at par in using the best technologies? As an example, when we start working with you, you show us how to get all the clips for social media in an AI tool, and it was amazing. I have 5 video editors full time, and with that tool, we probably do the work of 5 more just with an AI tool, and it's amazing. It's my content, it's me recording, it's just all the editing and the cropping of the videos and the rest could be done with AI. So how can we really understand which are the companies that are using all this technology and they're going to be at the best AI technology or whatever technology to help you do all your marketing right?
So I don't know if you're going to like my answer because it's not the easy answer. The problem is that every day someone new pops up, right? And there's a new tool,
Yes.
and there's a new thing, and there's this new way, and this new blah blah. And it takes a long time to actually go through all the tools and kind of figure out which one is actually doing it right or not. So the bad answer, the sad truth is that you need someone geeky in your world that geeks over that stuff and just goes like, oh my God, this is so cool. And they go through it and they test it. And you can just be like, hey, is this good? It's not good, right? Like have a geek in your circles that they love doing this stuff. I have friends in different niches. So if I see anything for sales wise, I'm like, hey, you're in sales. Does this work? Hey, you're doing LinkedIn. Does this work? Right? And I have them kind of filter it for me. Otherwise, it's a full-time job and you won't be getting, there's just so much junk out there, and there's marketing is so good where people come up with, all you need is this 100 templates and that will generate your life. Right. So
You go to ChatGPT and say, give me an ebook or a PDF of what are the 50 things everyone should do to 10x their Instagram. And they just give you the ebook.
yeah,
right?
And eventually everything is going to be so, ChatGPTs that the only way for you to actually shine is be authentic and not do ChatGPT, and only use ChatGPT to help you get your authenticity out there faster. So it has to be a game between your personal brand, your thoughts, your wisdom, your life experience, and taking it and just spitting the production with AI and not just regurgitating everything that everybody else can do. There was a guy who doesn't speak English, went to ChatGPT and said, hey, give me a competitor name for this product that I have for Amazon based on this brand. And he doesn't speak English. And so ChatGPT said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. It's, against copyright. Is there anything else I can do for you? And that guy doesn't speak English. He thought that was the answer. He put that as the product on Amazon.
Wow.
You're like, well, we're going to have those too.
We're going to separate the good ones from bad. I really believe AI will make the tech people even richer and more powerful and faster and nimbler. And the people that doesn't understand technology is going to get wider. And this is a conversation I had with Peter Diamandis. I went through Singularity program, the executive program, in 2012. And one of the things that I remember very, very vividly, Peter said, we've been fighting to shorten the distance between the haves and not haves, between the 1% and the rest. With technology, it's going to get worse every day. We're going to get our first trillionaire in the next 5 years, probably. It's like, how can you even think of someone having $1 trillion? One person. They said next 5 years for sure we're going to have a trillionaire. Whoever implements AI best, that they're going to be a trillionaire, and that's going to be a problem. So it's interesting what's going to happen.
Daniel, the key here for all the people that are listening is simple. Less is better, right? You don't need all these AI tools. You need one tool that you can use to get you the results that you want. Less time, less work, less people, less complication, less systems, right? We're going to get there. Right now, it's a few tools working together. But if you're with the mindset of like, I don't need funnels and complications and all that stuff, right? I just need to find a way to be genuinely connecting with my audience in a way that builds trust and referrals, right? You will be way ahead of the competition.
In fact, if someone wants to know more from you, contact you, where can they look for you?
TheZoomSalesEngine.com. This is where you can tap into our genius. We do everything for you, like we did for Daniel, just an hour a month. And we can help you get your conversions up to 40% if you're already converting at like 10, 20, 15. We'd be happy to do that.
Very cool. All right. Yifat, always a pleasure. You're
Likewise.
my geek. Every time I have a question about technology and AI, I come to you, and you always have the perfect answer. Thank you for that.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, hope you learn a lot about AI and marketing and really how to attack it, right? And of course, if you need someone to help you and be this geek that really understands everything, Yifat knows everything. It's crazy. Sometimes she says me things at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning that she's geeking out in the middle of the night and figure out a new tool. She's amazing for that. All right, Yifat, great pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.